Alabama homeowners, this new NAR lawsuit will drastically affect you, whether you are a homeowner right now, whether you are looking to purchase real estate as a home buyer or as a real estate investor, and you as a consumer need to understand what is happening with this NAR lawsuit, how it affects you, how it's going to open you up to discrimination, and what we can do to get through it together. So this has been going on for, at least a year. I know we've been talking about it, and it is a big deal. And I've sit here and I've seen Facebook posts and TikToks and Instagram reels and stuff on YouTube about how people are scared, how realtors are excited, how news headlines, it's full of clickbait that says, the process of buying a home is going to change drastically and how it's going to be cheaper for sellers and cheaper for buyers and blah, 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 blah. So first of all, this is basically a proposed settlement. It has not been accepted by the judge, so it could be not accepted by the judge and come back, and we're back to square one. Even if this does get accepted, the changes are going to in effect sometime middle of this year, possibly July or fall. So it's not something immediate. And frankly, the changes are just not that big of a deal in a lot of senses. So the main things they're saying is that they will remove the ability to input commission into MLS. Previously, when we had commission in MLS, it was uniform, it was public, it was disclosed, it was known, couldn't change, all those good things. Now, I think it leaves it open to be discriminatory, and I'll tell you why. First and foremost, if an agent calls me, I don't have to keep a uniform. They can call me and say, hey, I'd really like to go show your house. What are you offering in commission? I could say, you know what? I don't know this person. I don't know that I like the lender they're working with. This agent burned me 4 years ago. But you know what? I'm only going to pay them, let's say 1.5%, 2%. But if a friend calls who I like doing business with, it's easy to deal with, just makes things a breeze, I can say 3% for them. Heck, if I'm the buyer's agent, we'll be doing dual agency on my own listing. I want to charge 5% for myself, right? 7, 8. There's no uniformity. And the problem with that is it opens the door to so much discrimination, which is just not fair. And I've asked attorneys when I've been in the room with them, I don't know, and they just are like, yeah, you don't have to be uniform with it. And that's going to get us in trouble. It's going to get sellers in trouble. It's going to get buyers all up in arms and mad, and it's going to make us as a profession look unprofessional. So while we're talking about the buyers, let me tell you about what is really unsettling for me, that's really personal to me, is I am from a military family. So while my parents weren't active military, my grandfathers were, and then I had 2 brothers that were. My youngest brother, William, just got out a few years ago, and they earned the right to a VA loan and a right to choose if they want to do a VA loan or not. And just last year in 2023, just in Alabama alone, we had almost 11,000 buyer loans that were a VA loan. And it's illegal, literally is illegal from the Fed standpoint for a VA buyer to pay a transaction fee or their own buyer's representation commission or professional service fee, whatever you want to call it. So we're leaving just here in Alabama 11,000 buyers and just say, see ya, have fun working for yourself. Because my E&O insurance doesn't even cover if there is no commission or buyer's representation fee in place. So if I am choosing out of the goodness of my heart to represent them pro bono, that's not really an ethical decision on my part, because they're then not getting any kind of liability and E&O insurance. God forbid there's a survey dispute, an inspection dispute, or anything that comes up. And so, the wheels of DC don't turn fast. So while I'm certain the VA is up there trying to establish this and talk about it and figure out what they need to do, because I don't know how many thousands, hundred thousands of VA loans nationwide, and those clients and customers are just being forgotten about, and it really bothers me. And so I'm all for change. I'm all for trying to make the American dream possible for any buyer that wants to get involved. But there's a lot of things I'm really hesitant with all this new change. And it's not stuff that affects me. It's stuff that affects you, the consumer. And I don't know. I just worry that this decision is so short-sighted and that we're not really thinking through the details of how it affects the buyer, how it affects a USDA buyer that's 100% or an FHA buyer, because they are limited to how much the seller can pay already. And that sometimes does come in play before we even talked about negotiating a buyer's representation fee within to those concessions, because you have allowances, you can have repairs, you can have closing costs, you can have buy downs, you can have prorated taxes and insurance, and it all adds up fast. So if the seller's willing to pay certain things, and they have the buyers and sellers and their agents have come together with a plan that works for everybody, I don't know. I worry there's a little bit too much government overreach in this, and that they are so focused on the antitrust stuff that they're leaving out some discrimination concerns, just leaving the VA veterans just completely on their own. And I don't know, I just wish more people were talking about it instead of just focusing on the money side of things. Let me know what you think.